to answer either, Molly, but it's a logical thing for owners to want to know. First of all, I agree with you. I commend Kevin Love. The word is bravery because you're obviously exposing yourself. You're exposing yourself to ridicule. You're exposing yourself to criticism. And the fact of the matter is, as the title of Kevin's piece suggests, every single one of us, not just on this desk, probably every single one of us in this studio, and I would suggest every single one of us watching at least know someone, have some direct experience with somebody who's dealt with mental health issues, often at a very high level. But at the same time, while you can empathize and you can know that, and you can also know, hey, we don't want to do anything to inhibit somebody ever coming to grips with their own issues and seeking help, we have to also see it from the other side. An owner who invests often in the NBA in the hundreds of millions of dollars range in players wants to know every single thing, every single aspect of his physical health. He's going to go over a rigorous battery of tests about his knees, his shoulders, everything to see if there's anything that could compromise his ability to be on the court. The truth of the matter is, and we often hear this, that mental health is not unlike a physical injury. It is things that often can't be helped. These are issues, and they are, that need MD level of help, treatment. That's right. In the same way, we have to acknowledge they are the same kind of issues that could keep you off the court, that could compromise the investment, that could keep somebody going, am I going to pay $100 million but not get to see you come to work? I don't know what an owner is going to do in the end with the information. I don't think it's unreasonable to want to know about it. The truth of the matter is, if we're living in a world where we want guys to come forward with it so that they will seek more help, if the worst scenario is that you hide it and don't seek help, is this really a bad step then? Letting others know, including your potential employer, this is something, by the way, in my portfolio.
It is, and at first glance, it is difficult. I think the more you think about it, though, the clearer it becomes. First, I understand the argument, Will. If something's wrong with your knee, people need to know about it. And that argument is frequently used for protecting people's kind of ability to and taking away the stigma of getting treatment for your head, the way you would get treatment for another part of your body. And so here you can say, well, that applies also to your employer's understanding of what your availability might be. I understand that argument. That's where my mind goes first also. But you have to think about it a little bit more. By the way, that goes for any kind of disease, right? If you think of it that way, diabetes or something, you get treatment for it, and maybe people know about it. And I would say this, though. Your brain is your identity. It is your identity. When people talk about heart and soul and everything, you're talking about someone's brain. That's where it all happens. That is you. And so it's not quite like just another part of your body. It is a part of your body, but it's also more than that, much more than that. It is your identity. And I would say that your employers, of course, it's understandable. They'd want to have the information. If I were an employer, I too would want to have that information, the owner of a franchise. But that has to be weighed against the right of an individual to privacy, particularly about something that is stigmatized. Why? Because if that has a dampening effect on employment opportunity, then in fact, it'll have a chilling effect on people seeking help, which is the opposite of what we're hoping to achieve. And so when you think it through, although I agree there are issues that say, it seems as though I can see both sides. What side do you actually come down on? I find it difficult to come down on the side where a patient's rights to privacy is somehow superseded by an employer's desire to manage their business more efficiently. So there's that, and there's the fact that we want to incentivize people to get help. We don't want to dissuade them from it.
Couple things here, Max. I don't think we are, and I hope it's not reduced into some kind of hot take debate about whether or not mental health should be on the public record or not. But small disagreement, I don't think the brain is the center of who you are. I don't think the neurons firing in your brain is your identity in the end. There's some, and I count myself among them on an wavering basis from time to time, but, soul is a part of who we are. There's something deeper than just what fires between the neurons in our brain, and identity, I think, is much more tied to the concept of soul, but we don't need to have that deep conversation.
Well, I mean, that's that is a religious debate, but we're talking here about science, yes. So you can't apply it to the scientific debate.
But you made the claim that it was just your identity, that whatever fires in
Well,
your
because
brain,
we're
your
talking
intelligence
science.
is
So
your
in
identity.
the realm of science, and if we're using that as a basis to make decisions, then we must stay in that realm.
We can agree to disagree on that. It's a much deeper issue. We're not going to get into the first take.
And it's not a flippant disagreement. But if what you say, Max, is true, that this right to privacy by the player or the employee should be put higher in the hierarchy of concerns here, I do think we're putting leagues into difficult positions, because we often talk about, well, why didn't you know this about this guy? This guy that ended up having this kind of behavior, doing this kind of awful thing, this guy that ended up in this place. And mental health is not always tied to awful outcomes. I understand that. But we are holding owners and leagues to standards where they need to be vetting people to the highest degree. And if they don't see something coming, we talk about it on this show, we talk about it on others.
That's an excellent point.
And if we're going to deprive from them some really key information, I don't know that we can also hold them to that standard.
That's an excellent point you raise, and I've considered it. That is there a slippery slope between mental health in terms of depression, et cetera, and psychotic behavior? No, in fact, I believe, so again, when you first think about it, you're right. It's like, wait a minute. I, as the owner of the franchise, not only can my business be damaged, but I may be held responsible for having a guy like, Greg
Hardy.
Yeah.
Greg Hardy on the team. I was thinking of Aaron Hernandez, someone like that.
There you go.
But in the mental health field, there are clear distinctions between people who are depressed and are having mental health issues in that way, and people who are psychotic or present a danger to others. I do agree.
We're not limiting
if someone
it to
presents
that.
a danger to others, that's a different story.
Yes, but we're not limiting this conversation, nor do I think that this issue is limited to any one particular ailment, any one particular problem. And I just want to make this one last small rebuttal, because I think, and this isn't easy. So in the end, you brought up incentive. We want to incentivize people to seek help. I don't know, and I'm willing to be persuaded. Is that the best way to incentivize people to seek help? Because we hear guys like Kevin Love sharing it, being open with it, can help one person. If there is more open knowledge about it, I'm not sure that doesn't incentivize others to seek help in the end.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, go ahead.
Will, I'm surprised, because I think there's a straightforward rebuttal to that should appeal to your sensibility.
Okay.
That's an individual choice. You know, if someone like Kevin
so
Love decides to make that...
Yeah, but so is employment. Employment is a trade-off between somebody who wants to give you, in this case, hundreds of $1 millions, and you giving them information.
And because there is so much power... Right, and because so much power resides in the individual who holds reservoirs of capital and has the ability to hire people, there are protections for workers. And this is one, I think, that should be abided by.
There's so many layers to this one, and I wasn't sure where I stood on it. But as you're speaking more and more, Max, I'm tending to side with you that everyone should have a choice on whether they wanted to disclose that information.
I don't know that Will and I really debated that.
No,
I don't think that's a debate. I think we're just thinking it through.
Yes, but as a conversation, that they should have that choice. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Coming up next, Nick Saban's Crimson Tide.